Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join me for sensational news this morning. A shocking managerial development. What I considered would probably be the most bulletproof manager in English football after the past 3 years of work is out of a job. Chris Wilder has left Sheffield United. I am recording at 11:06 a.m. I'll give you the timeline in a sec. By the time you're watching this, we suspect the announcement will have been made. It's been leaky as anything, so I suspect Sheffield United are just going to want to go ahead and get this dealt with and out in the open and have their say. But huge news for Blades fans here. So that was the first we heard of it. 10 a.m. Wilder set to leave. Seemingly on pretty good authority, and TalkSport going very heavily, and everybody else has followed suit since. There had been recent tensions, let's just say, between Wilder and the Sheffield United ownership. As I understand, this boils down to transfer policy and Wilder's expectation that in the second season in the Premier League that the ceiling for salary should be raised, and it wasn't, and therefore certain targets like Cash and Watkins went to Villa and Loftus-Cheek going to Fulham. Certain players were missed, and I think Wilder felt, recruitment-wise, he wasn't backed. And then there's obviously been some conversations about how Sheffield United will deal with what seems to be an inevitable relegation now. We're just ticking down the games. And maybe, again, ownership and management not on the same page here. Like I say, we're expecting a midday statement. Paul Heckingbottom, who's managed Barnsley and jumped to Leeds, didn't he? So familiar to Yorkshire-based football fans. Blades under-23 coach is going to do the game against Leicester at the weekend. And I reiterate, I cannot wait around. This is big news. So I'm going in now before the official statement has been made. And here's the story. I think we all know the story of Chris Wilder. The rise, 2016 to 2019. Sheffield United, I think in the end, was 6 seasons down in the third tier, languishing. I think it finished in the bottom half prior to Wilder going there. Season 1, bosh, 100 points, promoted. Up he goes into the Championship. And then we get the 17-18 season where the Blades finish 10th. And this is sort of the first season I'm covering the Championship. And they get on my radar. And I remember doing a preview show for a Sheffield United-Ipswich game and being told, and look out, by the way, when the ball's on the other side, look out for the centre-back from the other side going forward. And lo and behold, look it up, Bramall Lane, Sheffield United 1, Ipswich 0, Chris Basham in the box, right centre-back, scoring a header. So then this aura starts to grow of this wildly innovative, passionate English manager playing this football, and the recruitment then into the 2018-19 season. Ollie Norwood is in as the sort of deep midfield pivot. Dave McGoldrick in on a free transfer. And then the fabled Henderson in goal, Basham Egan O'Connell, Baldock Stevens, and away they go. Sensational promotion there. You can see second place to Norwich. And remember, they came from League One. Not a parachute payment in sight at Sheffield United. And to take down Bielsa and Leeds and West Brom and Barnesgale and Rodriguez, finishing above Aston Villa with Grealish, McGinn and Abraham. It was a brilliant season that. Norwich, Sheffield United, Leeds and Villa were all fantastic. And to finish second in that season was such a great achievement for Wilder. But then it got even better. The rise is followed by the peak. Look at that. 9th in the Premier League. They keep Henderson for another season. Everything else is the same. They switch from having a number 10 to 3 central midfielders, and John Lundstrom then comes in, and the story continues. And all of a sudden, the Nationals get hold of centre-backs marauding forward and going round the outside, and overloads down the side of the pitch. And all of us people who followed the story are like, yeah, we know they've been doing it for a long while. They're great to watch. A superb team, a great story. Some revisionist history has been done on this season now, where all of a sudden, they only scored 39 and had a 0 neutral goal difference, and they won lots of tight games. Let's just forget it. Come on. They were in League One. They won League One, middle of the Championship, top of the Championship, middle of the Premier League. The rise was incredible. Whether they won tight games or not, who cares? To jump up from that. Just a sensational job done by, an English manager with really innovative tactics and recruitment to peak 9th in the Premier League last season. And of course, if I'm talking about a peak, you know that a fall is coming, and we all know the story. This season, look at the bottom, Sheffield United, bottom of the league, and with 12 points adrift of Brighton, who also have a game in hand with 10 games to go. They're as good as done. What's gone wrong? You can see at the top of the page there. The goalkeeper goes, Dean Henderson, first of all. Look on the top right, then Jack O'Connell. Could miss the rest of the season with knee injury. He does. So all of a sudden, the basis of that defence, Henderson's gone, O'Connell has gone. And then recruitment-wise, in comes Brewster, Ramsdale, Burke, Lowe, Bogle, Kubalali, Fotheringham, Ampadu. The idea is that the recruitment did not contain anybody with a number of Premier League appearances, experience to pop straight into the team. Obviously, Sander Berger's been quite good. He got injured as well. Hardly Premier League experience, but looks like a quality player. And I just think you got this perfect storm of the changes in the defence, being a known quantity, the injury to O'Connell, maybe the recruitment wasn't exactly what it should have been. And then, of course, the end of a 3-year cycle and just natural inertia. And just you got this perfect storm, which did facilitate a horrible drop-off for Sheffield United. And that's why you see them with only 14 points. Is it the right call to remove Chris Wilder now? Now, what I do need to say is I wasn't in any of the boardroom meetings or Zoom calls or whatever with the owner and Chris Wilder. So, if there has been some kind of, I don't know, impossible to return from, point of no return, fallout, or they're on different pages, and then so be it. One could argue that if you've got a manager that's been so successful, is that sort of bad practice in running a football club for such a fallout to be allowed to happen? That's a different matter. So, look, it could be untenable. And we're assuming it's going to be mutual consent at midday. And Wilder has had some say in this, and we've reached this point. Now, in terms of it being the right call, I've put up the badges of the last 6 teams to be relegated down from the Premier League. Let's have a look and see what they've done in terms of management and how it's worked out, just to give us a fair idea. Huddersfield, well, they came down with Jan Sievert, and he lasted about 3 games before he was fired. So, did not stick with their manager. They're currently with Carlos Corberon in the bottom half of the Championship. A point that should be made is they didn't spend their parachute payments. They went on an ownership change. Fulham, well, they did not sack their manager. They kept with Scott Parker. In fact, he was there and he was hired full-time. They were promoted by keeping their manager. Cardiff, well, they went down with Neil Warnock, so they did not sack their manager, but then they did sack him in October. So another team that didn't stick with their manager through the season. Then we have Watford and Bournemouth. Watford sacked their manager like twice before they even went down, and have also sacked their manager since. Therefore, we now have Xisco Munoz. They're in a good position. They could go up. We'll see how it works out. Bournemouth didn't sack their manager, but they went sort of mutual consent. Eddie Howe gone. Jason Tyndall, well, he didn't last the season. They're now with Jonathan Woodgate. Will they go up? Not in the playoffs at the moment. And then there's Norwich, who went up with Daniel Farker. Failed in the Premier League with Daniel Farker. Kept with him. Spent their parachute money. They'd saved their pennies, Norwich. They're currently 10 points clear at the top of the league. So a very simplistic, probably oversimplistic analysis of the last 6 teams to go down from the Premier League team tells us the two that let the manager that essentially they went down with stay there throughout the season are Norwich and Fulham. Fulham got promoted and Norwich are about to get promoted. So there is a reasonable stance one can take to say that stability in the dugout coupled with making your parachute payments and Premier League squad pay for you could well mean promotion. Okay? So my very simplistic argument would be that if you have a manager who's ingrained in the club and you run competently through relegation into the next season, you should be able to do all right. Simplistic, but hey, you can have your views in the comments. That's the beauty of YouTube. And what next? Look at the squad. There is criticisms of the recruitment this season in terms of Premier League quality, but in terms of Championship quality, this should not be difficult to get Sheffield United back up. I know it sounds very easy on paper, but if I can pick a Ramsdale in goal, maybe O'Connell will leave, but should be able to keep Egan and Basham, stick Jack Robinson at centre-back, fine, whatever. Stevens, probably stay. Will Jayden Bogle take on the right-back position? He's proven Championship quality at Derby, isn't he? Norwood, he's been promoted out the Championship 100 times. Yes, Lundstrom's contract's running down. Berger will probably have to be sold, won't he? So do you need a central midfielder in there? Will John Fleck go? I'm not sure he will. Okay, Burnley might bid 12 million for him and they'll have to sell. And then you look up top, Ollie McBurney, Rhian Brewster. Okay, Dave McGoldrick and Billy Sharp aren't getting any younger, but McBurney and Brewster, if they can be worked into a partnership, both scored lots of goals in the Championship with Swansea. Okay, Brewster was at Swansea a short time, but look at the goals per minutes ratio. If they can knit together as a front two, should work very, very well. So what I'm saying is, even assuming that the saleable assets, I'm going with Jack O'Connell and Sander Berger, get sold, the team should be able to sustain with parachute money to maybe offset certain things, or as we see many Championship teams do, to spend on new players. The squad looks good. So you're scratching your head saying, well, unless there's been an irreconcilable fallout, who would be a good manager to get a team like Sheffield United promoted? Your first go-to name would probably be Chris Wilder. I know that's stating the bleeding obvious. Who next? I don't know. I suspect if Swansea are not promoted at the end of the season, a lot of clubs will look at their manager Steve Cooper and say, oh, because they're probably going to get in the playoffs if they don't get promoted. They'll lose in the playoffs if... Non-promotion for Swansea basically means they've lost in the playoffs. So you would say, oh, okay, well, he plays 3 at the back and he's got in the playoff a couple of years running. So Steve Cooper maybe at the end of the season? I don't know. We've heard a Crystal Palace link for him as well. And then you're getting back into all of the old names that always get mentioned. Eddie Howe, Frank Lampard, and away you go, away you go. I don't want to... we haven't even had full confirmation of the club statement, so who knows what on earth is going to happen in terms of a new guy. Maybe they've got somebody that they feel like they want to put in. But in terms of the what next, I'm not sure. So Wilder out, my views. And look, if I take this from a completely emotional point of view, which is never the best thing to do, but I'm going to nonetheless, I was there I covered Sheffield United extensively. I went to a lot of their games. I was in the Sheffield United stand at Leeds for Basham arriving. I was there. I know what Chris Wilder means to Sheffield United fans. I know because they told me and I saw it. Okay? I was there when Sheffield United were to all intents and purposes promoted because they beat Ipswich. I saw it. I know what he meant to them. So from an emotional standpoint, I hate this decision. I hate this. I hate that Wilder has gone. I would have loved the story to have been amazing rise, fork in the road, full, get them back up into the Premier League, stabilises them as a Premier League club. My little heart and my emotions says that would have been a great story. And I think he could have done it as well. So with my emotional hat on, which, as I say, I often criticise football fans for being overly emotional, and I will add that's never a good motivation for any decision or judgment. Some maybe, but when we're talking about multi-million pounds and football and etc., from an emotional point, I hate the decision, and I would have loved to have seen him stay. And I will be covering Sheffield United in the Championship next season. I love to watch Chris Wilder's. The football was exhilarating. It was glorious. You know, this quick passing and these overloads down the side in such a unique way that we just hadn't seen before. However, just to try and present a counterpoint and a balance, if indeed there is one, sometimes things run their course and, you know, the toothpaste's out of the tube, the genie's out of the bottle. Maybe a new face, if it's the right face, can take Sheffield United forward. Again, I suspect Chris Wilder could have taken Sheffield United forward if the standard now is promotion back and stabilisation in the Premier League. I think he could have done that. Yes, I understand the recruitment could have been better in the Premier League. I don't know the whole story. I haven't seen the numbers. I haven't seen the balance sheet. I wasn't in the boardroom for, you know, can we pay this much money for this guy? So there's probably two sides to that story. And then you look at the timing, and unless someone else is going to come in with a view to next season, the timing makes no sense other than for it being a fallout that's irreconcilable and people just have to go their separate ways. So, look, I don't like it, is what I will say. But I understand the arguments both sides. And I understand an emotional, nostalgic kind of pull on my heartstrings as someone who watched that incredible 18-19 promotion firsthand, basically. So maybe I'm not the best person to talk about it. Maybe I'm not leaving my bias at the door and I have an implicit bias towards Chris Wilder. Maybe I can admit that, but I don't like it one bit. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm sure there'll be Sheffield United fans that have my standpoint, that maybe from the heart. I'm sure there'll be other Sheffield United fans from a different standpoint. Oh, we need something new, respect to Wilder, but on to the next. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of fans from outside clubs trumpeting that horrible, patronising cliche, be careful what you wish for. And I will say that's so unfair on fans of a football team, because we had it when Ipswich and McCarthy parted ways. The fans have nothing to do with these decisions. Yes, this is not something that should be ogled over the Sheffield United fans. They had no say in this whatsoever. So if we get the be careful what you wish for, can that please be directed at the Sheffield United ownership, not their fans? Okay, because I've been on the receiving end of that, and it's maddening and patronising and thoroughly unfair without context, which hopefully I've tried to add. There we go. I think I've said enough. Wilder out. Sad day. Let me know what you think in the comments. Over and out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.